Hi, I'm Shelly. I'm founder of Knit Stars. This is Charles Barkley, my King Charles Cavalier puppy. And I'm here at my home in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. And we're trying something new that we have never done with Knit Stars masterclasses. So most of the time I'm flying around the world filming cinematic masterclasses with some of the top knit and crochet and creative stars in the world. But those are really high in production. This is not. This is going to be a new experiment we're calling Knit Stars Unplugged. And I'm just going to share a little bit of the behind the scenes and what goes on to make a Knit Stars masterclass come about, a new season come about. It's a lot of work with a lot of different people and a lot of fun. And people are really always curious to know how we do it. How do we put out these full seasons of masterclasses every year? How does it actually happen? So I'm going to give a little bit of insight into that. Also, I write a newsletter every single week called Shelly's Sunday Yarns. I've been doing it in different forms every week for the last 20 years. And this week's newsletter, there's just been so much to share, so much going on in the making of Knit Stars Season 10, this big anniversary season, that I'm finding it harder and harder to cram everything into the newsletter. And this week in particular, I just got back from filming with one of my longtime idols, Clara Parkes, and Alicia Plummer, both in Maine. It was my first time in Maine. And so there was so much to share about this trip. I just thought it'd be fun to go ahead and take the leap and make this little unplugged video for you and share some crazy stories and cool stories that happened during this Maine shooting. Then I'm also going to share a bit of kind of what's in my project bag, what have I been working on with all of these hours on planes and trains and automobiles, and a few goodies I picked up along the way during the filming. I thought it'd be fun to share some of my favorite things right now that I'm enjoying as a result of all that filming, some things knitterly and crochet that I picked up along the way. And yeah, I have a question for you at the end of the video too, because I'm looking for some input on something else we're thinking about doing soon. So that said, let's get into it. So I've got a couple really good stories that couldn't fit in the newsletter about my visit to Maine, specifically Clara Parkes. Last week I wrote all about my trip with Alicia Plummer. That was super special because she was actually one of two stars who told me no when I asked them to be a star way back in the first season of Knit Stars Masterclasses 10 years ago. And the other star was Clara Parkes. And then they both said yes. I came back around and asked them again for this big anniversary season, and they both said yes, which is really cool. I had the best time with Alicia. It's all in the newsletter. You can actually find our back issues of the newsletter at knitstars.com/blog. They're all on our blog. But for this one, here's a couple stories. Here's a couple things that happened that were just really pretty wild. So the first one was while I was filming with Clara in her house, and she said we were the first people to ever get to come into her house in Maine. She's usually super private about that. She had spent weeks, probably months, prepping the house and the gardens and everything, getting them all looking amazing, which I'm sure they were amazing before that. But while we were filming, I remembered something came to me as we were sitting there filming together in her kitchen, filming her masterclass on swatching as a practice, not as a means to an end, but as just an enjoyable practice. While we're sitting there filming, I remembered that she had basically come in like a knight in shining armor way back 20 years ago. I said, you know, Clara, I remember when I opened my first Loops yarn store 20 years ago, I remember that you had Knitter's Review. And Knitter's Review at the time, for those of you who maybe haven't been around this knitting world as long, there used to be a publication called Knitter's Review that was Clara's, and it was like an almanac almost of yarns and products available in the knitting world, and it really filled the need. This is back before Ravelry and back before there were so many resources to know about stuff online, and especially for knitters. It was really hard to find honest reviews about yarns and what yarns were out there. And so Clara, who you probably know, she's like a New York Times bestselling author. She has all these amazing books. And she's really big into wool and promoting wool as an amazing fiber, and supporting shepherds and farms and things like that. Oh, Charlie, are you trying to drink? Are you thirsty? He's trying to drink out of my Knit Stars cup. Yep. You just drank out of your bowl. Your ears are wet. Yeah? Maybe don't drink out of my cup. We'll get you some more water in just a sec, okay? So anyway, so there was this Knitter's Review publication, and besides reviews of yarns, there were also reviews of yarn shops, and people could come online and give reviews, honest reviews of yarn shops. And I don't know if this predated Google, but it seemed like at the time that was the main place to find out about yarn shops and like see reviews of them. And I remember there was a review. We had a lot of really good reviews on Knitter's Review for Loop's yarn shop. But also, so that original Loop store was in this high-end shopping center called Utica Square. And there's this whole story about how I had to make I made a cashmere scarf for the owner of the shopping center to get the lease deal. But anyway, it kind of had a reputation as a shopping center for being high-end and a little bit snooty. And so a lot of times knitters, when they were coming in for the first time to Loops, we really felt like we had to, like, it was super important to me because I hadn't always been treated very kindly in yarn shops as a younger knitter. So it was really, really important to me that we like really greet everybody and support and create this community in the shop. And so I knew that our team, that was important to them too, and they all knew how crucial it was to give people a good experience. So, but somebody had posted this review, and I found out later that it was actually the daughter of an owner of a different crafting store in town, like a competitive crafting store. And she had posted this review that we had kicked her out of the store for having a nose piercing. And like, I read this review and I was like, I know it wasn't me. And I was always at the store pretty much all the time, but I checked with my other couple of employees and make sure that they didn't know, it never happened. It was never a thing. It was just like this. I checked into it because I at first was horrified, like, did this actually happen? And so I checked it all out. Anyway, long story, this review went up and it was really hurting our business, our little new yarn shop. We had people coming in and asking about it, or other people wondering if it was true, and it kind of became this whole thing. This is way back before cancel culture and all of that, but it was really, I felt like, impacting. So I sent an email, the story's getting very long, but I sent an email to Knitter's Review, and it felt like the biggest miracle. I got the ding, and I got an email back that it was from Clara Parkes herself, replying to my email and saying, okay, I'm going to look into this and I'll remove it. And she didn't want to be about people like canceling yarn shops and stuff like that. And I couldn't believe it. Like, I had angsted over that review for months and months and months. And our whole team was like fretting over it. And anyway, she saved me. And, but while I was sitting there filming with her, I remember that there was this thing with Knitter's Review, and I was like, I remember you emailed me, and it was like so amazing and helpful and kind, and I couldn't remember what it was about. But then on the plane back, it came to me, and I messaged her, and she's like, I remember this. I remember this story. I remember you emailing me. I just never put it together that was you way back when, 20 years ago, with that little yarn shop. And that was you, Shelly, the founder of Knit Stars. And she's like, I remember thinking, this is not going to happen on my watch. Like, people aren't going to cancel yarn shops. They already like struggle so much. And so I thought I knew Clara pretty well, and I knew what she had to offer, and I knew, what her books are and how her business works and all of that. I didn't realize until I was there filming with her that there's two ways to interact with Clara that I was not aware of at all. And that's because Clara is a writer first and foremost, and doesn't love marketing, as is true of a lot of people in this space. They're making and creating amazing things all the time, designing, creating content and putting out patterns, especially, and putting out books. And they don't really love to say, hey, come buy my stuff. People can all like really struggle when that moment comes. So two ways that you can get more Clara that I now know about and am participating in. One is she has an email she does every single day. She sends out an email every single day. It's called the Daily Respite. And it's just I signed up for it, and it's free to sign up and kind of check it out. And then when you love it, you can become what she calls a respiteer, which is it's like supporting at a pretty minimal level, but it's important to support these creators in small ways. Can really add up. Patreon, Substack, things like that are great ways to support people that you admire and that enrich our world in the space. So she has a daily thing called the Daily Respite. So if you don't already know about it, I'll put the link in the show notes, and you can do it for free, or you can sign up at a paid level to support her. But they're just little daily, like there's one photo and just a little missive and a quote from Clara, and I have found it to bring a lot of peace and smile to the beginning of my days, and so I've really enjoyed it. So that's something you can do. And the other thing she has going on that I had no idea about is called the Wool Channel. And so the Wool Channel is a way to, it's for people who are into wool, and it's a way for Clara to talk about the importance of supporting wool and all the amazing benefits of wool. And so she's got different levels with that as well. So check out the Wool Channel. I think most of you are pretty interested in wool and might really enjoy that too, and a great way to support that side of what she does. So there's one other story I wanted to share with you, and this one's really wild. When these kind of things happen, I'm like, I used to think it's so rare and wild. On the other hand, I feel like this is how the universe works, because I don't know, this magic thing happened. So I just started a book club recently. I've always wanted to be at a book club. When my kids were in high school, there were like some cool parents, some cool moms that had a book club that I always wanted to be a part of. And this one longtime friend of mine that was part of the book club was always telling me about the book club, but never actually invited me to be in it. And I think it's because, I don't know why. Of course, I've thought through all the reasons that could be the case, but the way you do when you go down that rabbit hole. But she would say always, "Oh, I know you're so busy with your businesses." I think she thought I was too busy to join a book club, but I always secretly wanted to belong to it. And then I always dreamed of being in one, or maybe starting one. Then I moved here to Santa Rosa Beach. I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma most of my life, and moved here just a few years ago. And I'm on the road so much and everything, and it's a pretty transient environment. A lot of people, this is like they live here as their second home or vacations or whatever. So it can be tricky to make friends. It's been harder because I came from Tulsa, where I lived my whole life, and I knew so many people there. We always say it's like the world's biggest village. It's like 500,000 people, but I really felt like between me and my ex-husband, my kids, all of the different activities I was involved in, I felt like I could never keep up with my friendships. Like I was always struggling to try to nurture my friendships more, especially with the business as it grew. And so moving here, it's been a thing for me to try to make friends, and slowly but surely, I've made some knitting friends, I've made some yoga friends, I've met people along the way. So I finally felt like I knew enough people to throw a book club together. So we had a first meeting this past Saturday, and it was really awesome. It was such a great group, a really, diverse, interesting group of women. And the book that we chose for the first book, I didn't actually choose it. I picked 3 books that I think Audible suggested for me and put them in the group chat and let them vote. And they all picked the book that I least wanted to read. True confession. But the book was Big Magic by, and I keep saying Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie, but it's Elizabeth Gilbert, Liz Gilbert, author of Eat, Pray, Love, which I've actually never read. Need to read it. But Big Magic was the book. And so I've been listening to the book, and actually it turned out to be perfect timing, because I've been thinking a lot about next year for Knit Stars, where we're headed after this season 10. And I've been thinking a lot about the idea of creative genius. And in the book, Elizabeth talks about creative genius. And it's all about leaning into your creativity, getting into creative flow, nurturing the artist inside you, the creative person inside you. And so Big Magic. And she talks in there about people get uncomfortable if you say you're a creative genius, but like I really believe everybody's got creative genius inside of them, and it's all about taking time to nurture that and let it out. So anyway, we're reading this book, Big Magic. Okay, so I'm on the long journey back from filming with Alicia, then Clara. There was a 3-hour drive from Clara's place in Maine to the airport, then a long flight from Portland, Maine to Atlanta. Everything goes through Atlanta for me because I mainly fly Delta. Then I was on the last flight, which is a little short flight, 45 minutes from Atlanta to Panama City Beach, which is near where I live. And then one last drive home. And I was on that flight and I was about to fall asleep because I was so exhausted. But before I fell asleep, I was sending a text to a friend who had just had a death in the family, and I knew she was going through a lot. The death in the family had raised a lot of drama. People were kind of bickering and stuff, and she was sort of in the middle of it. And so I just felt like I should text her and just say something encouraging. And so I've got the book playing in my ear, the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and I'm listening, kind of half listening as I type to my friend. I said, while I was on this filming with this knit star, Clara said something that really hit me, and it was, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Really hit me because just being in the public eye and stuff, you know, or just in general in life, like, it's really hard to compartmentalize what other people might say about you in the comments, or when things get circulated that aren't true. It can be really hard, something everybody has to deal with nowadays who's on social media at all, really. And so I just really love that. Other people's opinions of you are none of your business. You know, freeing yourself of their opinions and just being you. So I'm typing this phrase to my friend. Clara said, and I love this, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. And as I'm typing it in, Elizabeth Gilbert says in my ear, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. So it was one of those just like super freaky, like, this is a phrase I've never heard before. Maybe you've all heard it before. It's like out there, but I had not heard it. And it's like, I felt like the universe is talking to me, like right in this moment. God, like, I hear you. To be able to move forward with all the things that we want to accomplish in life, to maintain our peace, to be our most creative, authentic selves, we have to release other people's opinions. So I just thought that was such a cool, like, synchronicity story. And it, again, too long to fit in the newsletter, but here you got it in our first Knit Stars Unplugged. Okay, a few other fun tidbits about the making of Knit Stars. So Clara's workshop was the 14th of 15 workshops this year. Normally we do 10. In our previous seasons, we've usually done 10. This year we're doing 15 because it's our big anniversary season. And I went on every single one except the very last one. So I was supposed to go on to Julie-Anne Laboutier for the very last workshop. Brad and I were supposed to drive. So Brad's our Knit Stars cinematographer. We were supposed to drive 6 hours from where Clara lives in Maine to where Julie lives in New Brunswick, Canada. And right before the trip, and you may have read this if you follow our newsletters, I came down with a kidney, bladder, UTI, triple infection. Ended up in the ER, got tested for sepsis. Luckily that was turned out to be negative, but I was really sick, and I felt like it was my body saying, okay, you have maxed it out. These 15 filmings all around the world, Vietnam, like, where have we gone for season 10? Vietnam, Chile, Barcelona, Spain, Paris, France, Lisbon, Portugal, Los Angeles, Detroit, Des Moines, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Nashville, Maine, New Brunswick. So lots and lots of travel, you guys. In just a few months, my body finally waved the white flag and said, we are done. And so I had to skip that last, on the advice of my doctor, I had to skip that last workshop. I missed Julie's. But in Maine, so Maine became the celebration, right? It was my last big trip to complete this epic season of filming. I ate tons of lobster. I keep joking, I've gained the season 10. Everywhere I've gone, these stars are, I feel like they kept upping the ante, making pastries and taking us to these amazing meals and lots of amazing food. I wouldn't trade it for a second, but had epic lobster. It was my first trip in Maine, like I said. Clara, when we arrived at Clara's house, she made blueberry muffins. She had freshly baked blueberry muffins for grandmother's recipe, which is in this week's newsletter. She gave me that for the newsletter. Thank you, Clara. But the food was amazing. One thing that, the water, the beaches were amazing. Obviously, I get to live on the beach and it's beautiful, but it's completely different in Maine. If you're aware, you've probably seen on Alicia's and Clara's social media feed these beautiful, beautiful rocky coastlines with these dark piles of rocks and lobster ships everywhere. When I first got to the B&B that we were staying at for filming with Clara, there were no hotels anywhere around there. There were no like Airbnbs. There were just B&Bs and just a couple. But this one was right by the water. And I went down to the water after we arrived, and this looked like a Spanish galleon ship came across the horizon, but it actually was a schooner. And I found out later, at the end of filming with Clara, we went back down to that same little beach, and another schooner came by, and she took off running, and I didn't know why she took off running. We were filming, and she took off running to the actual shoreline, and like a kid, just arms in the air, and woo, like there's the ice cream man, and you're trying to flag it down, and she ran to the edge of that coastline, and starts waving at this same schooner that I had seen a couple days ago, or looked like the same schooner. She said this is like such a good luck sign. They actually almost never come by. You never catch them. And so she starts waving like this, and then Brad and I start waving, and then the people on the boat waved back, and it was so cool. They were like way out there, and so that was a magical Maine moment for sure. Another thing, maybe less magical, is apparently ticks are a big deal there, to the level that they've got some like horrific kind of tick that like just when they're around, even in the air, they're like dangerous and can make people really sick. So I don't know. The ticks are a thing, but we did not encounter ticks, luckily. Got back tick-free. Love Maine, would go back in a heartbeat, would love to go back, and I won't soon forget the lobster roll at the Maine Lobster Lady. And there was even lobster at the airport. There was a lobster, like authentic, fresh-caught lobster in the airport. I went, because I was there by myself. Brad had driven on with Julie, and I ordered lobster in the airport and ordered a mimosa, which I would almost never do. But it was like 10 o'clock in the morning before I boarded that first flight, and treated myself to one more lobster roll and a mimosa to toast myself to the end of season 10 of the filming. So anyway, that was the Maine trip. It was epic. Let me show you, I want to share with you some of what I've been making with all of this knitting time, right? On all of these planes and boats and car rides. So two things I want to show you. The main project I've been making all season, if you're not familiar with Knit Stars masterclasses, or you haven't ever participated in a premiere season, what we have is, what will happen is all of these workshops that we've been filming all over the place, they will start to debut in the beginning of November is the date when the first workshop will debut, and then we will roll them out every couple days over the course of a few weeks, and then it culminates in a live Q&A with all 15 stars. And we're still working on how we're going to roll out the Knit Stars and the Crochet Stars, because you can enroll in Knit Stars. For season 10, you can enroll. You have three options. You can enroll in all 15 workshops, you can enroll in the 10 knit workshops, or you can enroll in the 5 Crochet Stars workshops. It's our first year we are officially doing Crochet Stars as its own thing. We've had Crochet Stars as part of Knit Stars in the previous 9 seasons, but this year is different and special. When you enroll in Knit Stars masterclasses, we also, every workshop has its own kit that goes with it, totally optional. But each star will choose a star maker or indie dyer to create a kit exclusively for their class. And you can order these kits if you're enrolled in Knit Stars for that season. You can order one, you can order all 15, you can order whatever you want. There's also a special bag. Should have gotten this to show you, but I'll do it in a future one of these. Hohe and Company makes a special, beautiful commemorative bag. The last few years, this year's just like so pretty. And yeah, so those kits are part of the program. If you join, you can shop the kits. And so in addition to the kits that go with the workshops, we always have one or two special kits that are just dyed just for the season without really a specific star in mind. And one of those who's done it, I think every year since we debuted 10 years ago with Knit Stars, is Koigu. Tayu Landra from Koigu, the founder of Koigu, or one of the founders, the daughter of the founder. Anyway, the woman, the CEO of the company, was in Knit Star season 1. She was talking about how she dyes and her story with Koigu. And she made a special kit for, I think the second season was the first time. We didn't have kits in season 1, so that was a new thing, starting with season 2, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, so one of those kits, I designed a simple scarf. I called it the Rising Scarf. And it's just a simple way to show off a mini skein set. The pencil boxes that Koigu makes, if you've seen them, I don't have one with me because I'm going to show you the project I've been making with it. But typically they have 10 little mini skeins in sort of a gradated set. This year I said, hey Tayu, how about making a double-sized set? And that rising scarf pattern that has become popular in our community, I will make a double size. So we do 20 mini skeins, and I'll make a rising wrap. I might call it like rising, it's a wrap scarf, because we're wrapping season 10. But I bit off a little more than I knew that I could chew. So this thing has become a very large piece. I love it though. I love a big generous size, like Stephen West says, schlank it. I'm in the middle of a row, but I'll show you. So I cast it on right before, I think, the Vietnam trip several months ago. It was back in March now, 5 months ago. And so I'm just going to show you this thing. It goes and it goes and it goes. It's like a clown car. And so all 20 skeins, you alternate them together in pairings. And I'm on the last part, which I think is perfect because this color, this reminds me of the Maine coastline. I've got this really pretty like gray and green as my final colors. So this is the Rising Wrap. It's going to be, it'll be free for everybody who's signed up as season 10. I'll just include the pattern update as a bonus, and then these kits will be available when signups are open for season 10, which was going to be October 5th through 15th, but I actually think I'm going to make it a bigger window. And the reason for that is another special thing we're doing this year. We always do a give back. Each season we pick one cause to give back to. But for this season, I said, hey, let's let all 15 stars pick their favorite cause, something close to them, something that has special meaning for them. We'll donate $1,000 to each of those causes. And then I have this big, huge, hairy, audacious goal of hitting 10,000 signups, 10,000 people enrolled in season 10. Which really isn't that crazy when you think about how many millions of knitters and crocheters there are in the world. But anyway, if we hit that 10,000 number, then I'm going to 10x the give back. So we'll give back $10,000 each to 15 charities. And we really want to make that happen. We're going to have a ticker on the top of the page that shows how many in real time have signed up for the season. Because of that, I think I'm going to make the window a little wider. I think we're going to open signups more like towards the end of September. That'll be the last chance to sign up, and then the workshops will start to debut after that window closes. All of that said, you may be looking at this adorable bag that I have my Rising, it's a wrap in. This was actually, I picked this up in Detroit when we were filming with Natalie Thomas, so Detroit Knots. And she had gifted me and Beth, who's our Knit Stars relationship manager. She goes by Adaptive Knitter if you want to check her out. She's also been a Knit Star. She's amazing. And Beth lives nearby Detroit and drove in for the filming along with Brad and I. We flew. Anyway, Natalie gifted us with these, and I was like, hey, Natalie. She makes these out of sock blanks. So you know the blanks you can make a sock with, these hand-dyed sock blanks. And these, I love the size of this bag. There's her little tag. So I do think, last I checked, she had some of these available on her site to pre-order or to order. So that's this bag. Yeah, so that's my Rising Wrap project that has come along with me through the whole season. Now, when I went to Maine, I didn't take this project with me. I was like, I've been working on it so fast and furious for so long. I was like, I know I'm so close to the finish line, but I have to take a break. I have to cast on something different. I'm gonna release the guilt of having another whip set to the side, and I started on something else. So I wanna show you. Now this is in this little bag I picked up in Lisbon, Portugal when filming with Filipa Carneiros. And sorry if I pronounced it wrong, I know I probably did. I got to go to Rosa Plummer's yarn shop, and if you guys know Rosa, she is a big proponent of wools from like local wools, and she has basically, I think, formed a co-op of a bunch of Portuguese wools. It carries them in her shop and is a really big supporter of that. And this adorable little bag has what Filipa called Cool Grandma. So it's a knitter with tats, super cute bag. So this houses my next project. Now, before I show it to you, this is an idea for you. I've been saying I'm gonna do this for like, sorry, I'm like itchy, at least 5 years, maybe longer. I made this sweater probably 10 years ago. This is the sweater that gets more wear than anything else in my wardrobe. It is the Lizzie sweater. I'll put it in the show notes. It used to be Georgie Hallam, but her name changed. And I love this thing. This is what I grab all the time. I made it in quince linen, my favorite linen yarn, buttery soft fingering weight yarn. I wear this, I grab it, it's my go-to, right? I've washed it, it's gotten so soft over the years, it's held up great. Has this cute little cable detail and then lace. So the only thing is, a couple things about the sweater are a little bit dated. It's got these real skinny arms that were super popular at the time with the little flare sleeve. And then it's on the longer side, which still I wear it all the time, but I'm like, I would love an updated version. And this is something to think about. Do you have that piece in your wardrobe you wear all the time? Like, why not make another one, but just do it in a little more updated fashion or a different color so you have more. I tend to only do a project once. I kind of have always had that rule for myself. There's just so many things out there you can make, but it was time to do this. So I cast on for a new version of this. So this is, and I just cast this on at the beginning. This is how badly I wanted to start a new project. I started this just before the Maine trip, and I haven't picked it back up since I came back. So like this is what, 5 days worth of work. I was super into it. But it's a top-down construction. I'm making a bigger size so that it'll have a more oversized feel, and it'll have a bigger top of the sleeve. And then I'm gonna do more of a balloon sleeve, like where it doesn't decrease until the very end for the cuff, where I'm gonna do, I think, a cable cuff. So it'll pull in, have kind of more volume, and then I'm gonna do a shorter length. So it's like more on trend for styles right now. And this is also quince, sparrow linen, but in a different colorway. Just, well, you can tell I like this color. By the way, what I'm wearing is by Popa Vergara, one of our stars for season 10, and who has become a good friend. She lives in Chile, Santiago, Chile. This is her bee vest, and she designs in a lot of beads. So a lot of like ethereal mohair. I love her patterns. I'm itching to cast on another one of her things really soon. Really had fun with this. Had to frog it at one point into the beads. Like frogging beads was a whole new challenge for me. But anyway, that's what this is. Bee Vest by Popa Vergara. So those are my two projects I've been working on pretty much this season. Oh, and this vest, as soon as I was in Chile, I was at a yarn shop owned by Pope's friend Pilly and I'll put that in the show notes too if you think about it. Pope helped me pick out this yarn. It's a Chilean 100% silk, and the beads and everything I chose at her shop, and I made this. Like, I cast it on immediately. The scarf went to the side, the rising went to the side for a bit, and I made this. These have been my projects I've worked on this season. I've really tried to not do what I call obligation knitting, like kind of release. I used to, for 20 years, I was always knitting stuff for the yarn shop. Everything was on deadline. for a long time, I designed every month a new pattern for our Loops Club subscription. And so I try to just, and I want to give you permission to just knit or crochet on the things you really want to make and enjoy as much as possible without a deadline. I know a lot of you are probably in the business and you have deadlines, and I understand, but when you can, it's really nice to just work on things for fun. A few more things that I picked up along the way I want to share with you. We filmed with Jen Geigley in Des Moines, Iowa, and I didn't realize how many books Jen has published. She has these amazing pattern books. She also has this really cool knitting planner that I picked up, and I wanted to show you. It's got kind of her signature yellow in there, but it is one of the coolest knitting planners I've come across, and she has these for sale on her site, so I wanted to give her a shout out. A couple other things. Oh, while I was there, she gifted me and Brad when we arrived with these tote bags. Des Moines, hell yes. So fun, and it was full of snacks from Trader Joe's that she hand-picked out for us. Oh, what was it? It was a hot honey caramel. Those were epic. Hot honey fudge, so good. I don't have a Trader Joe's here, so I can't get it. Anyway, but there's people down there working in the parking lot. And then also, by the way, if you have a kid who's gone off to college, Jen just started another little fun venture where she makes snack boxes for college kids. So check out Jen Geigley's Instagram, YouTube, whatever, to see that. It's called, it's got the cutest name. It's called Snackademics. Snackademics. I thought that was so good. You can tell she works in design and branding. I also, when I was on the road, I don't usually have much room to buy things when I'm traveling. I only carry a carry-on because I famously lost my luggage in season 3 in Finland and didn't have anything for the whole filming trip to Finland with Vera Valmäki and Norway with Arnie and Carlos and Denmark, right, with Crystal Seifarth. Yeah, for 10 days I had nothing, none of my stuff. This was back in season 3, so I always carry on. So I never have room to buy stuff. In my suitcase, it is packed to the gills. But when I went to Nashville to film with Ann and Kay, I drove with my boyfriend, and because it was drivable from where I live. And so I brought back kind of a haul of stuff, kind of went a little crazy. One thing I bought were these tulip interchangeable needles, which I've heard Ann and Kay are in season 10. They were also in season 3. They wanted to do a encore presentation, a new presentation on log cabin knitting, and they approached me actually, so that was really cool. And it's the first time we've done that. But these tulip knitting needles, y'all, I really love them. I'm kind of devoted now to metal needles. I tend to use signature straights or mostly my Chalgu circulars. But I've got this project with the linen on these tulips, and I get why Kay is obsessed. They're a very smooth bamboo, very, very smooth. But the coolest thing is the joins. They just screw in. You don't have to use a special tool, and they don't come undone. And I didn't really quite believe it because I've had a lot of interchangeables come undone, but these don't. And I've really enjoyed going back to bamboo for a change. So love these. They're on their site, Modern Daily Knitting. And then also, I didn't know this. This is a cool surprise. I've known Ann Shane from MDK, like I said, for at least 7 years. But I didn't realize she was a published author with Bowling Avenue, and it's a novel. It's not knitting. It's not a yarn book. It's a full-on novel. She said it's a great beach read. So if you love MDK and you love their humor, obviously sign up for Knit Stars Season 10, but check out Ann's novel. I think it's on Amazon. She gifted me this copy. Bowling Avenue. So those are some fun things I picked up along the way. Now, I want to wind up. I've got, like I promised, I have a question that I wanted to ask you that we're thinking about doing. In this brainstorm, this is one of those, how did I not think of this before? But, okay, with Knit Stars masterclasses, how it works is, for each star, let's say Clara Parkes, it starts with what we call a lifestyle video. It's really a cinematic feature film quality movie about Clara, filmed in her home, in her studio, in her environment, on site where she lives, so that you can really get a full picture of the human. You might know Clara, you might even subscribe to some of these things I was mentioning earlier, but But I think there's something really magical about being allowed into somebody's space and see kind of what makes them tick, what, meet their pets, see their couch, where they hang out and knit, see where they design, get inside their process, see their other passions, what other things are they into, like Poppy Vergara is into motocross, Helene Magnusson from a couple seasons ago does pole dancing and leads tours in Iceland and all kinds of amazing stuff. So when you join Knit Stars Masterclass, you get to watch both a cinematic lifestyle kind of mini movie, usually around 10 to 15 minutes long, and then the workshop, which is also filmed super high quality, feature film level, next level. It's not like what you see on a Zoom call or YouTube or what have you. It's really super well done, high quality, professionally edited, and then you own the whole thing. You can watch it over and over, which makes it, we're trying to make it really even better than an in-person workshop, because you feel like you intimately get to know the star, and then you can watch it over and over, rewind and stuff, instead of that pressure that can happen in an in-person workshop where it can be hard to retain everything. And anyway, so that's kind of the purpose. So what we're thinking about doing is that we know it can sound like a lot to, sometimes I think people get overwhelmed and they think they have to watch and even make every single project in a Knit Star season to get the value out of it. What we find is once people are inside the experience, they come for the workshops, they're excited to learn this technique and that, but what they really fall in love with are these lifestyle videos, because it's the stories, and like Jen Gigley told me, whenever she's kind of down, when I was there filming, she said whenever she's kind of down, she watches Modern Daily Knitting, Anna Kay's workshop from back in season 3, where they talk about, they bust 10 myths, and they talk about knitting as the joy of knitting, basically. And whenever Jen feels her mojo flagging, she watches that workshop back through. And that makes me so happy. And as time has gone on, I've just found what I love the most is the stories of these people, of their creativity, of their other passions, what makes them tick, how do they get in their creative flow, what fuels their genius, what fuels them to keep going. These are the stories I love to tell. So what we're thinking about doing is going back to one of our previous seasons and taking just the lifestyle videos, so just the movies, string them together in one long movie and offer that. Just the movies, no work, no pressure to learn or make or do, just watch and enjoy while you're maybe working on whatever you've got going, and you're just literally just vegging out and watching content about people doing amazing creative things around this craft that we love so much. So I'm curious what you think about that. We're not planning to do that right now for season 10, but I'm curious to know, especially if you've been in Knit Stars, if you've watched one of our seasons before so you know what it's all about, would that be something that would interest you? If you maybe missed a season, let's say back season 4 or something, would you be interested in purchasing just the lifestyle videos from season 4? Because when it comes down to it, and I was meeting earlier today with one of our editors, I just want more people to watch these videos. They're so incredible. The work that these stars put into it, the work that Brad, our cinematographer, puts into it, and Beth and Mandy on our team, and Gigi, that everybody puts into it, the stars, the amount of effort, the trust to let us into their house with cameras and cords and all of this. And, it needs to be seen and enjoyed. And I feel like it can bring so much joy and intention back to your craft, or just really elevate how you think about what we do. So I want more people to experience it. So if that's a way to do it, if we remove the work and just put the movies in there, would you be into that? I'm curious. So let me know in the comments. If you've watched a previous season of Knit Stars, what was your favorite? What stars did you love? What do you hope to see in the future? I'd love to hear all of this. We love feedback. We really are a pretty tiny team. We're really just a team of 2 full-timers and me, and then a lot of people working part-time, like Brad, Gigi. So we get a lot done, but it's not possible without the feedback from our audience. So we'd love to hear that. We'd love to hear what you thought about this video. Is it worth it? Should I do it some more? I'm thinking maybe I could do it at least once a month. Knit Stars Unplugged, and then we've got other content. We're refreshing the channel, and we're going to start sharing more stuff We've got a really fun series called 19 Questions, where I ask 19 questions of the star that they don't know what I'm going to ask them, and they're random. It's different for every star, and that's a free series here on YouTube. We've got them organized into a playlist if you want to watch some more fun stuff. Yeah, so that's what I've got today. I'd love to hear your feedback, and if you don't already, I'd love for you to subscribe to our newsletter. It's also free, and you can find the sign up for the newsletter at knitstars.com. It's called Shelly's Sunday Yarns. Every Sunday morning, we send out one of those, and it's got, besides, it'll have like just stories like this, and we'll have some project curation of cool projects I'm seeing out in the world, and always a recipe, just because I love food. Recipes are fun, and they're designed to be easy recipes that make it, we call it less cooking, more knitting. So easy, fun recipes you can work into your repertoire to get dinner on the table or what have you, and have more time to knit or crochet. So sign up for the newsletter. And if you want to subscribe to our channel, that'd be cool too. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.